Truth is antisemitism. Protest is terrorism. Dissent is Russian propaganda. Notes from the edge of the narrative matrix. Truth is antisemitism. Protest is terrorism. Dissent is Russian propaganda. Critical thinking is misinformation. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. The Gaza Holocaust is happening right in front of us. It's like if everyone in Nazi Germany had screens in their homes, broadcasting exactly what was happening inside the extermination camps the entire time. Nobody can say they didn't know. That claim does not exist for us. This is a tweet by Dave DeCamp. I was looking at the pictures from the news agencies taken in Gaza today, and it took me a minute to realize one was a photo of a baby with no head. Lord have mercy. Comment from Caitlin. They lied about beheaded babies so that they could behead babies. They lied about rapes so that they could rape. They lied about the events of October 7th so that they could commit hundreds of October 7ths. Iran poses no threat to you or your country. The Houthis pose no threat to you or your country. Hamas poses no threat to you or your country. Hezbollah poses no threat to you or your country. They only pose a threat to a genocidal apartheid state which does not deserve to exist. The Daily Mail reports that Trump is preparing to bomb Iran with Israel. I don't know how accurate the report is, but I do know that lately such forecasts about insane U.S. warmongering in the Middle East have had an annoying habit of proving true. For those who aren't aware, a full-scale direct war between the U.S. and Iran would make all the atrocities we've been seeing in the Middle East these last couple of years look like an episode of Peppa Pig. The whole world would feel its effects. The mind cannot imagine the horror. Hamas is reportedly offering to release all Israeli hostages in exchange for a permanent ceasefire, and Israel is rejecting it. Israel has been rejecting this offer since Hamas first made it in October 2023. Criticize Israel's genocide in Gaza and you'll get objections saying, all Hamas needs to do is free the hostages and this is over. Meanwhile, in real life, Israel has been explicitly rejecting that exact transaction this entire time. Zionism is a political ideology, not a religion. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, "Thou shalt drop a new apartheid state on top of a pre-existing civilization thousands of years in the future, despite the perpetual war, genocide, and abuse its creation will necessarily entail." Been thinking about this Frank Zappa quote a lot lately. The illusion of freedom will continue as long as it's profitable to continue the illusion. At the point where the illusion becomes too expensive to maintain, they will just take down the scenery, they will pull back the curtains, they will move the tables and chairs out of the way, and you will see the brick wall at the back of the theater. End quote. Trump supporters are like, no, you don't understand, bro. The president isn't attacking free speech. He's just rounding people up and silencing them for political speech he doesn't like. They're saying the wrong words, bro. The government can't just let us hear the wrong kinds of words. One of the dumbest things the empire is asking us to believe right now is that bombing Yemen again will lead to peace this time. Peace through strength is just empire speak for warmongering. Literally translated, it means warmongering, but the good kind. Anyone who uses this slogan is either an empire manager, a propagandist, a bootlicker, or a moron. There are no exceptions. Notice how Democrats have been just as compliant with Trump's warmongering in the Middle East as they were with Biden's. All the most evil behaviors of the U.S. empire are supported by both parties. When it comes to mass murder and tyranny, they're in enthusiastic agreement. Capitol Hill swamp monsters like Tom Cotton, Jim Banks, and Josh Hawley have been aggressively hammering the lie that anti-war activist group Code Pink is funded and directed by China. Every time they are confronted by Code Pink activists, you'll hear these empire managers regurgitating this slander, which they are able to do because in 2023, the New York Times wrote a disgusting, deceitful smear piece falsely insinuating that Code Pink is paid by China. And what's so freakish is that if you actually read that New York Times piece, one thing you will not find anywhere in its contents is a claim that anyone in Code Pink are paid by China or working for the Chinese government. The New York Times never makes this claim because it's a lie and they'd get sued if they printed it. So what they do instead is loosely imply connections to China by drawing a lot of conspiratorial red yarn between Beijing and an American millionaire named Neville Roy Singham, who is associated with Code Pink and happens to support communism. There is absolutely zero solid substance in the New York Times piece that these imperial war sluts keep citing. None. But because the New York Times published that smear, now those war sluts can shriek about China whenever they are approached by Code Pink activists challenging them on their warmongering in order to delegitimize their urgent questions. Such a disgusting, evil thing the New York Times did in defense of the imperial war machine. Instead of doing journalism, they handed the empire a propaganda gift that keeps on giving. No matter how much you despise the empire's propaganda mouthpieces, it isn't enough.